What if making more money was as simple as deciding to think differently about it? Because here's the thing. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to wait for somebody to notice you. You don't have to earn your way into higher pay. You just have to start thinking like a person who makes more money. The reason you're underpaid isn't because you're not qualified. It's because you've been trained to think about money in a way that keeps you underpaid. Money is neutral, doesn't care who asks for it, but your thoughts about money, those are everything. And if your brain has been running that script that says, I should be grateful for what I have, I don't want to seem greedy, I need to prove myself first, then you're not even in the game yet. This isn't about men versus women. This isn't about fairness. It's about one thing. The thought you choose to think about money. The difference between people who make more and people who don't. It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not even luck. It's that one group decides they deserve more and then they act accordingly. So today we are rewriting your money script, because the moment you stop asking and start deciding, everything changes. If any of this is resonating with you, then this episode is for you. Let's go.
I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, highly anxious people pleaser turned master certified professional life coach. Learning to manage my brain was so life-changing for me that I got certified so that I could teach these incredible evidence-based practices to you. Are you ready for massive change? Let's go.
There are some hard truths about money and mindset. If you've ever thought, I just want to be paid fairly, I need you to hear this. That sentence alone is costing you money, because fair is not a strategy. Fair isn't a plan. Fair isn't what gets you that higher salary, the bigger bonus, or financial freedom. Fair is a feeling, and feelings do not negotiate. But here's what does: the way you think about money. Right now, you have a thought about money that feels like a fact. It's been repeated so many times by your family, your workplace, maybe even by you, that it feels true. I don't want to seem greedy. I have to prove myself first. Money is hard to make. But what if that thought wasn't true? What if it was just a script that's been running on autopilot in your brain? What if making more money was as simple as deciding to think differently about it? Because here's the thing. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to wait for somebody to notice you. You don't have to earn your way into higher pay. You just have to start thinking like a person who makes more money. And that mind shift, it doesn't start with external actions. It starts right here inside your own brain. Let's start by talking about why women were taught to shrink around money. So let's get one thing straight. You were never supposed to feel powerful around money. That hesitation, that discomfort, that tiny voice that whispers, don't ask for too much. You didn't create that. It was given to you, and not by accident. The way you think about money today, the guilt, the hesitation, the second guessing, that wasn't something you decided. It was something you inherited from your family, from your teachers, from society itself. And before you roll your eyes and think, okay, but that was then, this is now, let's be very clear. You're not imagining things. The discomfort you feel when negotiating a salary, asking for a raise, or charging what you're worth is not personal. It's systemic. You see, the system was designed to make you hesitate, And I want to break that down for you right now. So here's a couple of interesting facts. Before 1974, women in the United States could not legally get a credit card without a man's signature. Before 1988, banks could deny women business loans unless a man co-signed for them. Women couldn't own property. They couldn't buy houses. Women weren't just discouraged from financial independence. They were legally locked out of it. For most of modern history, money has been a man's domain. Women were expected to be financially dependent, not financially powerful. And often the dependency was only in the home running a budget, but it wasn't their own freedom. This isn't just about financial inequality. This is about control. Because if you control a woman's access to money, you control her choices. You control her freedom. You control her future. And even though those laws have changed, the psychology hasn't. And if you think that didn't leave a mark on how we as women think about money today, you're kidding yourself. So let's break this down into a little bit more realistic terms. If your mother, grandmother, or great-grandmother couldn't open a bank account without a man's approval, what beliefs do you think got passed down to you? If your family struggled financially and you watched the adults around you say things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, what conscious scripts do you think are running in your mind today? If every wealthy woman you saw in the media was portrayed as cold, ruthless, or greedy, which many of them are, how do you think that shapes your own feelings about ambition and money? We equate women who are ambitious, who are wealthy, with Cruella de Vil. That's the stereotype. Welcome to the generational transmission. This is what family systems call inherited belief systems. Your thoughts about money did not start with you. They started generations before you. And when a survival strategy gets passed down long enough, it stops feeling like a choice. It starts feeling like the truth. I want to get into how your brain thinks financial power is a threat. So let's go even deeper on this. Women have been conditioned for centuries to associate financial ambition with risk, not just social risk, but literal danger to their person, danger. Because historically, when women pushed for more, they were ostracized, they were villainized, they were erased from history. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the history. When women accumulated power, the world called them difficult. When women accumulated wealth, the world called them greedy. When women played the game like men, the world moved the goalposts. And this conditioning still lives in our collective subconscious today. It's why women hesitate to negotiate, even when they know they deserve more. It's why women undercharge, even when they're better than their male counterparts. It's why they often will work for free, thinking that that is going to somehow create more wealth. It's why women apologize for wanting financial success and financial freedom, as if it's something they have to justify. But here's the truth of the matter. Hesitation is not a personality. It's not your disposition. It's conditioning. Self-doubt is not intuition. It's inherited fear. And the discomfort you feel when talking about money, that's not a sign that something's wrong. You may be feeling it right now because I chose this topic for this podcast episode. It's a sign that we're breaking a pattern, that we're challenging a pattern. Your body doesn't like it. Your body and brain have also been trained to get ready for risk and danger. You'll hesitate when you should ask. You'll shrink when you should expand, when you should take up space. You'll sabotage opportunities without even realizing it because your brain is terrified. So why does your brain think money is dangerous? Even when you logically understand that you're underpaid. We all know this. I'm not telling you anything new. We all know, what is it, 70 cents on a dollar that women earn, and they have to have exceptionally high levels of degrees and education to compete with people with half as much education and half as much experience. This is not new. Even when you see the receipt on why this conditioning exists, something in you still resists. Maybe you've experienced this. You're gearing up to negotiate your salary, but at the last second, you talk yourself out of it. You're setting your prices, but something makes you feel greedy for charging more, for charging what you're worth, for charging the level of education and experience you have. You want to invest in yourself, but a voice in your head says, what if this is irresponsible? Logically, you know better. So why does it still feel so hard? Because your brain isn't designed for abundant thinking. It's designed for survival. And survival doesn't mean thriving. It doesn't mean risking. It means sticking with what feels safe. Because what feels safe keeps you what? Not dead. That's where things get messy. Because when it comes to money, your brain doesn't see more as safe. It sees more as threatening. I want to teach you about your brain's 3 money traps. Right now, your brain is running an old survival script, one that was programmed long before you ever even had a bank account. And if you don't override this programming, this is outdated software. If you do not uninstall and reinstall something that is modern, it will keep you underpaid, no matter how qualified you are. So here are the 3 traps. The first trap is called loss aversion. Why rejection feels scarier than a low paycheck. Your brain is wired to fear loss more than it desires gain. That's not just a feeling, it's science. So according to what's called the prospect theory, people feel the pain of losing money twice as intensely as they feel the pleasure of gaining it. So what does that mean in real life? You would rather not ask for a raise than hear the word no. You would rather not negotiate than risk somebody thinking that you're difficult. You would rather stay underpaid than experience the temporary discomfort of potential rejection. Your brain isn't trying to keep you broke. It's trying to keep you safe from loss. But in doing so, it's keeping you broke. It's keeping you stuck. And the irony here, by avoiding the risk of loss, you now guarantee the reality of loss, because not asking is an automatic no. Not charging more, not charging what you are worth is an automatic pay cut. Not negotiating what you know is right is an automatic loss. See, this is the first money trap, but it's not the only one. If you've ever hesitated to advocate for yourself because you were worried about being perceived the wrong way, you're not imagining things. Research backs this up. You see, studies show that when men negotiate, they're seen as confident and competent. But when women negotiate, they're seen as less likable, less warm, and even less hireable. This is from the Harvard Business Review. So let's put that in real terms. A man walks into a salary negotiation and asks for more. He's called strong and assertive. A woman walks into a salary negotiation and asks for more, and she's called pushy and ungrateful. Now, again, as always, I'm painting with broad brushstrokes here. This is what we call the likability penalty. And it's the reason so many women choose to stay quiet instead of advocating for themselves. Because deep down, we've already been trained to prioritize being liked over being paid. And that's not just a social cost. It's a financial cost. If the choice is between liked and paid, it's not a choice. It's a trap. And it's a trap that's been set for centuries. The last trap is pattern recognition. Why 2,500 years plus of data tells women to stay small. If you've ever hesitated to step into financial power, financial freedom, it's not because you're weak. It's because your brain has thousands of years of data telling it that women who push for more get punished. That resistance you feel, it's not personal. It's not random. It's a pattern, one that has played out for at least 2,500 years that we know of. Now let's talk about the science of historical pattern recognition. Your brain isn't just running your experiences with money. It's running every story it's absorbed, every consequence it's witnessed, every social cue it's been trained to recognize. And this is movies, billboards, back in the day when we had magazines, crap on the side of buses, it's everywhere. Because your brain doesn't just learn from direct experience. It tracks patterns. It recognizes risk. It remembers consequences. And when it comes to women and power, the data is not at all encouraging. For thousands of years, women who challenged power structures didn't just face resistance. They were punished. They were discredited. They were erased from history. This is what I call the punishment pattern. And it's about how women who ask for more get pushback on many different levels. In history, when women gained power, they were discredited. In workplaces, when women push for more, they're penalized. In society, when women claim financial authority, they're judged. When they claim financial freedom, they're looked at like they have 17 heads. This is not theoretical. You've seen it. This is why your brain doesn't just see financial empowerment as a threat. Because every time a woman claims financial power throughout history, there were significant consequences on a wide range of scales. Let's look at some examples. The very first one, the Salem witch trials. Many of the women accused were independently, financially self-sufficient. They were outspoken. Women who disrupted the norms. Here's another example. Women in the workforce in general. The minute women demanded equal pay, women were called demanding or ungrateful. I'm just going to go on a little tiny tangent here, but in 1970s, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, was passed by Congress, and it was supposed to guarantee that men and women would have equal rights under the law. But it took until 2020 for enough state legislatures to ratify it. And then it missed a deadline that was set by Congress as a long shot. And of course, everybody argued that the deadline was not binding because it was in a preamble to the amendment rather than the text of the amendment itself. So as of today, March 2025, I still don't think women have equal rights under the law as men in 2025. Here's another example. How about women in leadership in general? The more power women hold, the more women are scrutinized for things that wouldn't be questioned in men. So here's just a quick anecdote to help you understand that I get this. I get all of this. If you're new, I come from a previous field in ministry. So I'm the Reverend Doctor, ordained minister in a mainline denomination. And we go through very rigorous, basics to get ordained, including a master's from seminary, an accredited university. We have a 3-year long ordination track. We go through the most insane, rigorous level of testing as far as writing papers. We have 5 ordination exams that are, one of them you stay in a hotel and you do it all weekend. It's that long. We have to learn Hebrew. We have to learn Koine Greek. We have to spend a year in, Old Testament and New Testament. And we have to take all of these systematic theology classes and social justice classes. And it's rigorous. And then we get grilled by committees for 3 years. Every 3 to 6 months, we have to go in and, answer a bunch of questions and meet the bar of level of hoops that have to be jumped through. And so I was at one of these lovely grill sessions. And in one meeting, I was told that the shoes I was wearing would not cut it in the pulpit. They didn't like the fact that I was wearing a suit that happened to be pants. I just had a black suit on, pantsuit, nothing fancy. I was told that I quoted too many female theologians. I was also told I talked too much about women in the Bible. I may have asked if they told the male ordinands that they talked too much about the men of the Bible. And I was sent back to sit in the pews for 6 months and learn how to bake casseroles. That's what they told me. I had to go sit in the pews and learn to bake casseroles. Now, first of all, I don't cook. I lived in New York City for 20 years. We order out. Didn't even have a kitchen. Apartments don't have kitchens, really. You might have a little fake stove that has a dead mouse in it you never use. I don't cook. Never have, never will. I like to eat out. I order out. I'm a New Yorker. I'm a New York Texan. Second of all, isn't my husband supposed to be the pastor's wife? Isn't he supposed to bake the casseroles? My husband is a wonderful cook. But I was expected to not only be the pastor, but the pastor's wife. Women are scrutinized for things that wouldn't be questioned in a man. There's some generational trauma there, I think, that has trained women's brains. Your brain has been tracking this pattern for generations. And we know through neurology and other sciences, as well as family systems theory and other theories of that sort in the psychological world, that trauma is passed down from generation to generation. And it takes a lot of emotional maturity and work to break cycles of patterns of trauma in generations. So your brain begins to use these things as a survival mechanism, these patterns that it's tracking. It's basically stereotyping everything to keep you safe. So why does any of this matter when we're talking about your money mindset? It matters because your brain remembers these patterns, even if you don't consciously think about it. So when you start stepping into financial power, when you start wanting to gain financial freedom, when you start asking instead of waiting to be given because they ain't ever going to give it to you, you cannot work hard enough and then expect them to finally identify that you deserve a raise or a promotion or a corner office or whatever you're working so hard for. They're not just going to give it to you because you worked yourself to death, because you nailed a billion projects. They're going to want you to keep doing that without having to pay you more. That's the expectation. You have to start asking, not waiting. Your brain doesn't see a normal, logical step forward when you do these things. Your brain resists them. Your brain makes you feel yucky. Your brain tells you, don't do that. Don't do that. Why? Because it sees it as a threat. It sees risk. It sees 2,500 plus years of consequences. This is why money work isn't just about mindset. It's not about mindset. It's about what I call mind shift, because it's a paradigm shift. It's not something you can just wake up and have a good mindset today. It's about rewiring how your brain perceives financial power and financial freedom and financial independence. You must change the neurons and the neural pathways in your brain. And that takes work. That is not something that you just wake up and decide to have a good day about. This is an absolute paradigm shift that will change your life. Because if you don't override these survival mechanisms and these instincts to keep you safe from millennia of trauma to women, you'll hesitate when you should be asking. You will shrink when you should expand and take up all the space. You will sabotage opportunities for yourself, and you won't even realize you're doing it. The last part I want to share with you today is about how to rewrite your money script. So if you want to stop playing small, I apologize for breathing. You need to start thinking like a woman who gets paid what she's worth. But let's be very clear. It's not about money. This is about how your brain has been conditioned to think about you and money. And here's what no one's telling you. If you don't actively rewrite this conditioning, you'll default to that script that wasn't even yours to begin with. You did not choose it. It's not what you want. And yet it totally controls your life. So let's just jump into a little bit of thought work and how that is a foundational piece of financial power and freedom. So every action that you take around money, whether you negotiate or you stay quiet, you charge what you're worth, or you discount the hell out of yourself, you invest or you hold back, all of it, it doesn't start with money. It's actually not about money. Money's a result. It starts with a thought. So right now you have these thoughts running in the background that are shaping your financial reality. You're not even aware they're there. Thoughts could be, I should be grateful for what I have. I don't want to be greedy. I need to prove myself first. Yeah, we talked about all that. But what if those thoughts aren't facts? What if they're just made up scripts in your head? Scripts that you were handed by history, by society, by signs on a bus, by the systems that benefit from you staying underpaid, by the systems that love to sit on the sidelines and watch you work and work and work and get everything done perfectly because you're so good at what you do and you're so talented, and they don't have to pay you more because you'll never ask for it. Systems that benefit from you staying underpaid. The moment you stop assuming those thoughts are true, everything in your life is going to change. This is the real transformation. This is the mind shift. This is every day the rest of your life, not am I going to wake up today and get in a good mindset? No. We're going to rewire your brain. So it's always that way. Always. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just about money. The way you think about money is a symptom of a much bigger issue. It points to much greater things we need to get under control. If you've been underpaid, overworked, if you're over explaining, if you're waiting for someone to recognize your value, which means you're basically doing way too much work and not getting paid enough, and then they're going to let you keep doing it forever and you're never going to get recognized. You're not. Why would you? I guarantee you're not just doing this with money. You're doing it everywhere. You may not even know it. Because this isn't just about financial confidence and freedom. It's about who you allow yourself to be in the world. And next week, we're going to go deeper. Because here's the truth. You can't change your results until you change your thoughts. If you don't learn how to question, how to challenge, how to rewrite all of these thoughts, no matter how much strategy you are putting in, it's never going to be enough. Next week, I am going to be talking about my favorite woman of history, Aspasia of Miletus, and something called the Socratic method. I'm going to teach you the exact framework that shaped the minds that built Western democracy and show you how to use it to begin to take that control back from these thoughts that are not yours. And you may be asking, What's an aspasia and what's a Socratic method? Well, just real quick, a Socratic method is a method of rhetoric that was attributed to being created by the great philosopher Socrates. However, history does tell us that it's quite possible he did not create it at all, but was taught it by his very own teacher, a female, Aspasia of Miletus, who was his brilliant rhetoric teacher, according to Plato. So going forward, the Socratic method is no more. It is now the Aspasian method, TM. So I'm super excited to teach this to you because it's a very cool tool and it's going to be something that's really going to help you. And finally, if you're ready to start challenging these beliefs today, don't forget that I've got BetterHelp sponsoring a few of my spring episodes, and they're giving you a 10% off of your first month of therapy if you go to my affiliate link. So you just go to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/art-of, ARTOF, to get matched with a licensed therapist today. Because unlearning centuries of conditioning, that's not a job you can do alone. And friend, remember, your hesitation, your second guessing, your instinct to ask for permission before you claim what's yours, none of that is your belief system. It doesn't have to be your belief system. All of it was handed to you. And if it was handed to you, it can be given back. So this week, I want you to notice every time you downplay your worth, every time you hesitate before asking, every time you silence yourself when you should be speaking, every time you shrink when you should be taking up all the space, every time you apologize just for existing, anytime you notice any of these, pause. Because the next time you hear that voice telling you to stay small, you're going to know exactly what to do with it. All right. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week.